Hello, viewers. Makgeolli is a delicious rice wine. I am comparing two recipes today. Please watch my earlier videos to learn more about makgeolli. So I'm comparing the traditional steamed rice recipe with rice made in a rice cooker. Now, back in part one, the steamed rice was preferred, but I didn't control the proportion of water carefully, so it's time for a rematch.
Makgeolli, it's a hit. Don't give me that rice cooker bullshit.
Rematch time. Revenge of the rice cooker. Let's see what the rice cooker can do this time. So we're starting off with sweet rice flour porridge, juke. I'm making 2 pots here. The pots are different sizes, so actually I'm going to mix the 2 pots together and put equal amounts in both jars using a scale. So really the juke is going to be the same in both jars, even though one of the pots was smaller than the other. I didn't want that to change the recipe at all. So the 2 jars are exactly the same so far. And like usual, I stir twice a day for the first 2 days. Okay, day 2. Now let's do the steamed rice. So wash the rice, let it soak, drain it, and steam it in the steamer here. Okay, it's done. Now let's cool it off. So the steamed rice, this is hard steamed. It's not too sticky. When it's cooled down, add it to the juke. All right, so meanwhile, I'm also making the rice in the rice cooker. So for the rice cooker rice, I wash it. It soaks in the rice cooker. I set the timer. And is it done? I think it's done. So even though I set the rice cooker on the hard setting, it still makes a very soft rice. This is very sticky. It's a little harder to work with. It has more moisture. When it's cooled down, add it to the second jar, jar B, and let's compare the water content of these two. So we start off with 800 grams of rice. It's soaked, drained, steamed, and cooled. That's the steamer. Then in the rice cooker, we also start off with 800 grams of rice. That is soaked, cooked, and cooled. There is more. Just by the weight, there is about 200 grams more water in the rice cooked in the rice cooker. So we need to compensate for that. To do this carefully, I'm doing it by weight, and I'm adding some water to jar A so that both jars have the same proportion of water. That was my mistake last time. So look at these. These look very similar now. And they smell and they're bubbling the same amount. They look very, very similar this time. Even after 6 days, still very much the same. 10 days, 11 days. Okay, now day 14, jar B, the rice cooker rice, is looking a little different. It's more advanced in its fermentation. And then day 22, it is clearly different. Day 23, okay, the fermentation is very much done now. There's a clear layer at the top. There's hardly any bubbling at all. So it's time to bottle this. So this is jar A, the steamed rice. And there's only 225 grams left over. Bottle that. And this is jar B, the rice cooker rice. There's 214 grams left over here. And bottle that. So let's taste this and compare. Okay, so jar A, the steamed rice, and jar B, the rice cooker rice. The rice cooker rice tastes better this time. Well, maybe a little surprising, but let's see. So the rice cooker recipe had better flavor this time. It fermented faster and more thoroughly. So that's advantage rice cooker. So is there any reason to use the steamed rice recipe, the traditional recipe? While it is easier to control the water content, especially for multi-stage recipes with the steamed rice, the go-to-bop, and the steamed rice is easier to work with, it's less sticky, and it's easier to cool down. Since it doesn't have as much water content, it dries out and cools quicker. So my conclusion here is that it's perfectly possible to use the rice cooker to make rice for makgeolli. It's not such heresy, even though it's not traditional. However, it's more a matter of convenience for me that I think I'm going to continue using go-to-bop, the steamed rice, in my makgeolli recipes. This just shows that it's not heresy to use the rice cooker if that's what you prefer. This one took some careful measurements and some careful planning. Thanks for watching all the way through. If you've made it this far, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Makgeolli, it's a hit.